wanted to share with you on this occasion some of my reflections and thoughts yesterday as we celebrated the Panahida for our Blessed Father Jacob. You remember that there was a picture of him. I don't know exactly when that was taken. He had a dark black hat on. He had his priest's riasa. And he had a, I wouldn't say it was exactly a stern look, but just a very sober look on his face and in his eyes. And so as we were singing the service, I gazed at the picture and I began to reflect on my relationship with Father Jacob. A relationship which began a long, long time ago. And, I became aware that we've been together for over 20 years. Not continuously, because a couple of times I left and then came back. And I don't know if I picked up where I left off, but at least I came back. Father Jacob was still here in Atlanta. And as I gazed at his picture, I think that my understanding, or you might say my sight, was opened a little. And I began to see some aspects of my relationship with him that I really hadn't taken the time to consider before. And I would suggest that any of you who are so inclined that you try to do the same thing, that you examine your relationship with him in the coming days that we have, not just during this period before the funeral, but even after. Because he's not really gone from us. Well, he's in another room, is the way Bishop Callisto's Ware described it, or based upon something that somebody said. He's in another room. But he's still very much in our prayers and hearts, and I'm sure that we're still very much in his heart. But my impression, what I gained from the study, you might say, that I made yesterday, was, of course, I believed, and there are a number of things, I won't try to touch on them all, but that, I think the first thing that occurred to me, that he was a driven man. How could you say it? Well, I don't think that I even paid even a little bit of attention to that, other than the one time when I tried to keep up with him. Nor did I really focus in on what was driving him. We know about the liturgical services and schedule, which was, in many respects, unique for this parish. Especially during Lent and major feasts, I don't know of another parish, I'm not saying there isn't one, but I don't know of another one where the pre-sanctified liturgy was served Monday through Friday every week during the fast, and on Saturday and Sunday, the Divine Liturgy. And during the major fasts, he would serve liturgy every day. Now, I don't know of anybody, but maybe there are.
Father John Chrysostom.
What's that?
She meant Father John Kronstadt, she said.
Well, I guess I must. That's a good one to be close to, I guess. Father John Kronstadt did a lot of things, and people said later, well, they may not have really approved of the things he did at the time, later on they said, oh, he's the same. So I thought, you know, I mean, my impression was, particularly the last couple of times I came back, oh, he's just a fanatic, you know, he basically, but I began to ask myself yesterday, what was driving him? You know, was it pride? Was it some type of super ascetical feats that he was trying to accomplish? You know? No, I don't think so. I don't think that was it at all. I'm not saying that there was an element of some of that there, but I think that the Holy Spirit was driving him. That he was motivated to do that, not just so that he could impress everybody, you see. Not just so that he could prove to himself that he could do it when few others could. No, I don't think that any human being would be able to do that based upon, you know, just motivating themselves. I really believe he was driven by the Holy Spirit to do those things that he did. And I found out in my attempts to keep up with him, and where I failed, that basically I began to realize that my reasons, my motivations for trying to keep up with him was a different kind of a spirit. I was trying to prove that I could. And we have to be very careful about copying the feats, you might say it, or the accomplishments of the saints particularly, but anybody like Father Jacob. Because we can, by that I mean copying exactly what they do. Like St. John Maximovich, he didn't sleep. Well, I don't know that, I'm sure that that's not my ascetical practice. Although I don't sleep a whole lot now. I don't know, am I blaming St. John? Sometimes that's wrong at all. And other saints have, there's one, do you remember the ones that get up on the pillars? Okay, the pillar saints. Well, now, and they're not so prevalent today as they were in years past, but that's not something we necessarily want to copy. And people that have gone on gigantic fasts, you know. And actually, I just reading St. Euthemius, who we commemorate today, he told one young monk who wanted to fast excessively, no, he ordered him not to. He said, you've got to come to the common meal. We have to be careful about copying the particular activities of some of these people, but we basically want to acquire the same zeal and devotion as they had. We want to acquire that zeal and devotion so that it can motivate us in our lives, in our arenas, whatever they might be, to be, I'm going to quote something which I'm hoping you'll get familiar with, more so during Lent, so we can be everyday saints. Everyday saints. Now, I haven't even read the book yet, so I'm just kind of quoting the idea. But we want that same spirit, you see, to motivate us to be able to practice our faith in the midst of the world where we are, most of us. Like I said, Father Jacob and I were reunited through no plan of ours. I don't think that either one of us planned. I didn't plan to come back to Atlanta. Last time I was away, I was in Macon for 2 or 3 years more. And I didn't plan really to go to anywhere when I got done. But somehow or other, I wound up here. And I don't think Father Jacob particularly ever called me and, you know, and begged me to come back. He didn't do that. But I don't think he really had to. Prior to the term in Macon I served. I was in San Francisco for several years where I worked at Raphael House Mission out there in the small parish. So that's another, I mean, there's an indication that sometimes you're supposed to be together with some people, even if you don't even particularly, you know, aren't trying to. And my relationship with Father Jacob was very definitely a brother. He was my brother. You know, if you take a look at that and think about that, that's a very special relationship to have with somebody. He was my brother. It wasn't exactly the same thing as being a friend. You know, we didn't agree on some things, that's for sure. But brothers often don't. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that that the opening of our eyes, you see, in our eyes, our inner eyes, you might say, would be like the opening of that the blind man's eyes. We may be able to see ourselves, you know, in our community and our lives in a new and fresh and blessed way. May God bless us in this, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.